Alright everyone, so I wanted to share with you guys some tips and info on how you can quickly and easily increase your account combat class for this new feature that we just got. And if you're wondering what that feature is, you now get a hero HP buff based off of your account's total combat class. And you can see here that it starts off at 500,000, which will give you that 1.5%, and then it increases in thresholds of 250,000 afterwards, all the way up to 2 million account combat class, which gives you a 6% buff. And because it does happen in thresholds as well, this is going to be super important. Like if you're really close to the next threshold, say you were at 1.2 million account combat class, it's very tempting to get that last 50,000 in order to get this full 3.5% HP buff. So I want to share with you guys some quick and easy things you can do to boost this up, especially for ungeared PvP. I actually checked last night. I got something like 2,300 extra combat class for my ungeared PvP team with this buff. So it's pretty significant. Could easily be a game changer for ungeared PvP matches. Let's get into some things you can do, and the first one is huge, and it's actually really funny because I talked about this in a video earlier for a completely different reason, but it turns out it's a phenomenal trick for this new account combat class system as well. And that is quite simply to actually go back through all the units that you have in your box and equip them with gear. Even if it's junk gear, it does not have to be that great. Just go ahead and equip them anyway. And I'm just going to put some gear on Benimaru here as an example because I love using Benimaru as an example. Let's see here. Let's put this on. Alright. And if you take a look at my combat class, it did actually go up a bit right there. But the other awesome thing about this trick is that it does not actually use your regular equipment storage for equipped gear. So just pay attention to these numbers here. We're at 157 out of 200 plus 188. And that number in blue is the actual number of equipped gear that we have on all my units on my accounts. So now my combat class, 1267, 960. If we go back to Benimaru here, and I take off this gear, not only is my combat class going to drop a little bit, but also it's going to move that gear that was now just equipped to my regular storage. So now I'm at 160 out of 200 plus 185. So equipping gear on units also helps free up some equipment storage, which is why I actually talked about this a couple of days ago for a completely unrelated reason. This is a great way to not only get account combat costs. You can see that it just dropped a little bit by unequipping that gear, but it's also a great way to equip gear on units that is not really that great, kind of junk quality gear, or maybe SSR gear that has like really bad rolls on it, and then save it later on for an equipment salvage event, because equipping it on units doesn't take up that storage. So essentially, think about it this way: as every unit that you have is like 6 extra spots of storage for equipment, and that's really useful for that salvage event. But now it's also really useful to help you get extra account combat class for this buff as well. So my recommendation here is, when it comes to the actual gear, is just use SSR gear that you're farming like during the half stamina for free quests, and then take it up to +5. That's going to give you a nice little boost there in the actual stats as well. Don't really have to be too picky about like what the basic stat roll was. You know, if it's really low, that's totally fine. This is just really simply for the purposes of increasing your account combat class. You're probably going to just salvage this gear later on when a salvage event rolls around. But, you know, great timing. If you guys are watching this video shortly after it was released, I know for a fact that right now we have the half stamina for boss battles, but in a couple of days it's going to rotate to free quests. So if you guys are short a bunch of gear in order to utilize this strategy for account combat class, my recommendation, of course, is to go out there and farm out these repeatable quests for gear sets. Probably Chapter 1's the one that's recommended the most, because it's attack gear, which is the set that most people use the most. And every 8 runs is going to give you guaranteed gear. And just go ahead and start equipping it on all units in your box to get that nice boost of account combat class. So that's the really big one, easily number 1. But there's still many other things that I can share with you guys to increase your account combat class. So number 2 is leveling up your units. Even if they are rare quality, SR quality, you know, max level 30, max level 40, that's fine. Leveling them up is still going to give you some account combat class as well. And it's really not that expensive. You might notice that like once you start leveling up units that are in their level 60, 70s, getting close to 80, it takes a lot of gold per experience potion to level them up. But, you know, when you're still like below level 30, 40 to 50, it's not that expensive. The amount of experience that it takes to max out these units is really not that much. Probably just one or two of the, you know, high level potions is going to do the trick, and it's going to not be expensive. Absolutely worth doing, and I've just been in the habit of doing this for a while. Anytime I get a new unit, the first thing that I do is just level them up, even if I'm not going to awaken them or evolve them or do any of that stuff, just for that nice little boost of account combat class, and it also just makes your box look a little bit nicer as well. So that's another big one. If you haven't leveled up any of your units that you don't use that much, that's going to give you a really, really nice boost in account combat class. But there's some other things you can do as well. This is a huge one here. If you haven't done this, and I'll personally admit this is still something I am working on, but go back through and actually unlock the unique on all of your units. It does actually give you, I believe, 500 combat class when you actually unlock the uniques on your units. And you don't have to worry too much, hopefully, about the actual requirement of 16,000 combat class, because all you have to do is just switch over your best gear set. Whoever you're using your best gear set on, just switch it over, and that's pretty much going to get all of your units to the combat class in order to actually unlock the passive. So if we switch over here, now, right off the bat, you can see about 22,000 on Gallon. So, and I think, you know, if you have a really good gear set, you should even be able to get your rares that are level 30 without any other stats. You'll be able to get really, really close to 16,000. I don't know if I'm quite there yet, but you don't have to worry about stats or, you know, awakening or any of that stuff. So let's just see here. Is it 7,000? 16,000 required. If I switch over that set of gear, now we are, oh, I'm not quite there yet. What am I at? 15,200. So I'm 800 away. So if I work on the gear a little bit more that I have and make my best set a little bit better, then I'll eventually be able to unlock all of the uniques, even on my rares that don't have any other stat boosts in any other way. That's going to give you a huge chunk. 500 extra combat class per unique. Next up here, leveling up your ultimates. If you guys have, you know, kind of been skipping out on this for a while, up to you whether you want to use this to upgrade ultimates on units you don't really use that much, or keep the coins for other stuff. You know, that's kind of a personal decision right there. I'm not going to make it for you, but leveling up the ultimates is going to give you a bit of a boost there in your combat class as well. So, you know, I know that for a fact, like my rare units, because you just get so many silver coins and there are so few actual rare units, I just decided to bite the bullet and level up all their ultimates anyway, even if I don't plan on using some of these units, just because they're pretty much, it's like the equivalent of 1 stamina potion. So it took me 5 stamina potions and coins per rare unit to max out their ultis. There's really not that many rares. You know, I just went for it. But, you know, for SRs, it's kind of up to you if you want to go through that or save your coins for other stuff. But either way, that's a nice little boost in your account combat class that you can get as well. Now, of course, 2 really big ones are going to be Awakening and Evolving. You know, 6-star units, getting them to level 80, that's obviously a huge grind, and I definitely wouldn't do this for units that you don't really use that much, or at least units that you're going to use for their association. But it's important to know that when it comes to Awakening, the main bottleneck is really going to be for those early levels. Really importantly, even if you don't decide to take units to 6-star, like if you wanted to go back through just for account combat class and awaken a bunch of units to like 2-3 stars, something like that, the really big bottleneck, though, honestly, is gold. It takes a lot of gold to do that, so kind of up to you if you want to spend the 100,000 plus gold per star just for the combat class. Probably isn't worth it for too many people, but you know, if you've got a ton of gold like I do, you don't really have any other use for it. If you want to get that HP buff, that's kind of an option. With Evolving, obviously, the main bottleneck is going to be your pendants, but important thing to note is that taking units to their you know, SSR and UR quality, that's not going to be the big amount of pendants that you use. The big amount of pendants is going to be limit breaking. So if you do decide to take units to UR and just use those initial pendants, not only are you going to get the extra stats, but it's going to be huge when it comes to the cosmetics. You're going to unlock a bunch of cosmetics getting units to SSR and UR, and that's obviously going to get you stats not only on that particular unit, but also it's going to get you stats on all of that similar, like all the unit that shares the same cosmetics. So all of the Elizabeths that share cosmetics with her. So it's going to be a decent chunk of account combat class. Also importantly with the cosmetics is make sure that you have registered your best 5 cosmetics. This is really for people who have gotten lots of cosmetics on a bunch of different units already, but once you get past 5, it doesn't apply all the stats. It'll only actually apply the stats to the 5 that you have registered. So obviously you can use 1 for actual appearance, but 5 of them can be used for the actual stats. So, you know, just as you can see right here, registered outfit 0 out of 5, that's a no-no. You do not want to do that. You want to go back through and you want to register your cosmetics and get those stats. So, you know, just a reminder to go back through and do that. There's probably some units that I still haven't done that just because it's, you know, something that's easy to forget on the many list of things to do in this game, and that'll get you a nice boost in account combat class as well. So anyway, that's going to pretty much be it for the video today. I hope that you guys enjoyed. That's pretty much all the things that I can really think of, especially those 2 big methods that I mentioned at the start for account combat class. And you can definitely expect plenty more videos coming out over the days. I know I'm going to be doing some whaling here soon on these banners. Lots of other guides and stuff to talk about with this update. I'm going to do my best to get these out as soon as I can. So keep an eye out on the channel, especially if this video helped out. And if it did, consider subscribing for more videos like this in the future. Feel free to leave a quick like. It means more than you can imagine. So thank you so much to all of you who do that. And yeah, more videos should be showing up right about now. Feel free to check them out. If not, until next time, take care, everyone. And this is Salt of the Salty Guild signing out.